The triplets were screaming in the middle of the grocery store, and everyone just walked past them like they were invisible. A woman in a designer suit stood frozen nearby, her hands shaking, tears streaming down her face, completely unable to move. That's when he walked over. This tired-looking guy in a worn jacket got down on one knee and said 3 words that would change everything. But what he didn't know was that the woman standing there wasn't just any overwhelmed parent. She was someone who could alter his entire future with a single phone call. If you love stories about unexpected kindness and the way one moment can ripple through someone's life in ways you'd never imagine, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button for Soul Light Stories. Give this video a like, and later, I'd love to hear in the comments about a time when a stranger's kindness changed your day. Marcus Chen had been a single father for 3 years, ever since his wife Sarah passed away from cancer. Their daughter Emma was only 4 when it happened, and now at 7 she was the center of his entire world. Every morning started the same way. Marcus would wake up at 5:30, make Emma's lunch with a little note tucked inside, get himself ready for his job as a high school history teacher, then wake her up with gentle tickles and the promise of chocolate chip pancakes on weekends. Money was always tight. Teacher salaries in their suburban Ohio town weren't much, and medical bills from Sarah's treatment still arrived sometimes. Even years later, Marcus had sold their second car, downsized to a smaller apartment, and learned to clip coupons like his life depended on it. But he never let Emma see him worry. When she asked why they couldn't go to Disneyland like her friend Sophia, he'd smile and say they were saving up for something even more special, though he had no idea what that might be. This particular Tuesday had already been rough. Marcus's car had made a horrible grinding noise on the way to school that morning, the kind of noise that means expensive repairs you can't afford. During lunch, the principal had pulled him aside to say budget cuts meant his summer. School teaching opportunity was canceled. That was $2,000 he'd been counting on. And then Emma's school called to say she'd thrown up and needed to be picked up early. He'd left school the moment his last class ended, picked up his pale, quiet daughter, and decided to stop by the grocery store on the way home. Emma needed medicine, and they were out of basically everything. She sat slumped in the shopping cart, her little face flushed with fever, clutching the stuffed elephant she'd had since she was a baby. Marcus was in the cereal aisle, trying to calculate if the generic brand would save him, enough to also buy the name brand soup. Emma liked when she was sick. When he heard it, the sound of children crying, not just regular fussy crying, but the kind of desperate, escalating wails that meant something was really wrong. He looked down at Emma, who'd perked up a little despite feeling ill. She always noticed when other kids were upset. He pushed the cart toward the sound, turning the corner into the canned goods aisle. What he saw stopped him in his tracks. 3 toddlers, identical in every way, probably about 2 years old, were sitting in a shopping cart, all 3 of them screaming their heads off, tears and snot and pure distress. And standing next to the cart was a woman who looked like she'd just stepped out of a corporate magazine. Sharp black suit, heels, perfectly styled hair. But her face was crumpled, tears running down her cheeks, and her whole body seemed frozen, like she couldn't figure out what to do. People were everywhere. The store was busy, full of after-work shoppers. But every single person was walking past this scene like it wasn't happening. Some glanced over with irritated expressions. Others deliberately looked away. A couple of teenagers laughed and whispered to each other as they passed. An older man shook his head and muttered something about parents these days. Marcus watched as the woman tried to reach for one of the crying children, then pulled her hand back. She opened her mouth like she was going to say something, then closed it. She looked around desperately, as if hoping someone would materialize to help her, but the stream of shoppers just kept flowing past. Emma tugged on Marcus's sleeve. "Daddy, those babies are sad." He knew he should probably just keep moving. He had his own sick kid to deal with, his own impossible day, his own problems that felt like they were crushing him from all sides. But something in the woman's face got to him. It was the look of someone drowning. He'd seen that look in the mirror often enough in the first year after Sarah died. Marcus pushed his cart closer. The woman noticed him approaching, and for a second her expression turned defensive, like she was bracing for judgment. But Marcus didn't say anything judgmental. He didn't say anything at all at first. He just parked his cart, making sure Emma could see him. And then he did something simple. He knelt down, getting to eye level with the 3 screaming toddlers. And then he said 3 words. I see you. He said it gently, looking at each child for a moment. I see you. You're having big feelings, aren't you? That's okay. I see you. His voice was calm and warm, with no frustration in it. He didn't try to make them stop crying. He didn't shush them or tell them to be quiet. He just acknowledged them, and then he started humming. A soft tune Sarah used to hum to Emma. After a moment, he began to speak again, his voice rhythmic and soothing. Sometimes everything feels like too much, doesn't it? The lights are too bright, the sounds are too loud, and you just need someone to understand. I get it. Your feelings are real and they matter. One of the triplets, a little girl with a tear-stained face, hiccuped and looked at him with wide eyes. Marcus smiled at her. Hi there. Rough day, huh? Me too. My daughter over there doesn't feel good either. But you know what? We're going to be okay. All of us. He glanced up at the woman, who was staring at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. May I? He asked quietly, gesturing toward the cart. She nodded, unable to speak. Marcus gently touched each child's hand, one at a time. You're okay. You're safe. Your mama's right here. The children were starting to calm down, their screams reducing to whimpers and hiccups. He pulled out his keychain, which had a small flashlight on it that Emma loved. He clicked it on and off a few times, and the triplets' attention locked onto it. Behind him, Emma had climbed out of their cart, still clutching her elephant. She walked over slowly and held it up to one of the little boys. He makes me feel better when I'm sad, she said in her small, congested voice. The little boy reached out and touched the elephant's trunk. His crying stopped. Within another minute, all 3 children had quieted down, watching Marcus and Emma with curious, tired eyes. Marcus stood up slowly, his knees cracking. He was only 32, but single parenthood had aged him. He looked at the woman who was wiping her face with shaking hands. Thank you, she whispered. I don't know what happened. They were fine, and then everything just fell apart, and I couldn't think. And everyone was staring, and I just froze. It happens, Marcus said simply. Parenting is impossible sometimes. Are you okay? She let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. No, not really. This is only my 3rd day with them, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Marcus tilted his head, curious, but didn't pry. The woman took a shaky breath. I'm sorry, I'm Diana Whitmore. These are Lily, Mason, and Sophie. They're my brother's children. He and his wife died in a car accident 2 weeks ago. I'm their guardian now. Her voice broke on the last words. Marcus felt his heart crack open. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm a CEO, Diana continued, words tumbling out like she'd been holding them in forever. I run a tech company. I have 500 employees. I make decisions worth millions of dollars every day, but I can't figure out how to calm down 3 2-year-olds in a grocery store. I can't make them eat vegetables. I don't know what their favorite songs are or why they won't sleep through the night. I've had 3 nannies quit in 2 weeks because the kids just cry for their parents, and I don't know how to help them. She looked at Marcus with desperate eyes. How did you do that? How did you get them to calm down in 30 seconds when I've been failing for days? Marcus glanced at Emma, who had climbed back into their cart and was resting her head on her arms, watching with interest. I've been where you are. Not with 3 at once, but I've been drowning. When my wife died, I had a 4-year-old who asked me every single day when Mommy was coming home, and I had no idea how to answer. I didn't know how to braid hair or what to say when she had nightmares or how to make her stop, crying for someone who was never coming back. Diana's eyes filled with fresh tears. The thing that saved me, Marcus continued, was realizing that I didn't have to be perfect. I just had to show up. When Emma was upset, the worst thing I could do was panic or get frustrated. Kids feel what we feel. So even when I was dying inside, I'd get calm. I'd get present. I'd acknowledge what she was feeling instead of trying to make it go away. He gestured to the triplets, who were now watching a woman select soup cans, like it was the most fascinating thing they'd ever seen. They're not crying because you're doing something wrong. They're crying because their whole world just ended and they don't understand it. The best thing you can do is just be steady. Be there. Let them feel what they need to feel. Diana wiped her eyes. I'm supposed to be in Boston right now for a board meeting. I've got a product launch in 3 weeks that I should be working on 18 hours a day. Instead, I'm having a breakdown in aisle 7 because I can't handle 3 toddlers. Can I ask you something? Marcus said gently. What's more important to you right now? The board meeting or these 3 kids who just lost everything? Diana looked at the triplets and something in her face shifted. Them! Of course them! But I don't know if I'm enough. What if I can't do this? You'll figure it out, Marcus said. Not all at once. Not perfectly. But you'll figure it out because you don't have a choice and because you love them. I can see it in the way you look at them. Emma suddenly spoke up from the cart. My daddy cried every night for a whole year after Mommy died. I could hear him. But every morning he made me pancakes and smiled and took me to school. He was sad and brave at the same time. Marcus felt his throat tighten. He hadn't known she'd heard him. Diana looked at Emma, then at Marcus. How do you do it alone? Financially, I mean. I have resources, obviously, but you mentioned being a single dad. I'm a teacher, Marcus said. We make it work. Barely, but we do. Diana was quiet for a moment, and Marcus could see her mind working. Can I ask you something crazy? She finally said. Sure. Would you be willing to help me? Not like all the time, but maybe we could meet once a week and you could give me advice. I'd pay you, obviously. I just need someone who actually knows what they're doing. Someone who's been through this. Marcus started to shake his head. You don't need to pay me for advice. I'm happy to help. No, Diana said firmly, some of her CEO voice coming back. Your time has value, and honestly, I'd feel better having a more formal arrangement. Think of it as consulting. 2 hours a week you teach me how to be a parent to 3 grieving toddlers. Name your price. Marcus thought about the car repairs, the canceled summer school job, the medical bills. I can't charge you for helping you with kids. Then think of it differently, Diana said. Think of it as me hiring you to help my niece and nephews have the best possible chance at a stable, happy life, because that's what you'd be doing. They stood there in the grocery store aisle, 2 people who'd been strangers 5 minutes ago, both drowning in different ways. Finally, Marcus named a number. That was less than he probably should have asked for, but more than he'd let himself hope for. Diana didn't even blink. Done. Can you start this Saturday? And that's how it began. Every Saturday morning for the next 3 months, Marcus and Emma went to Diana's house. It was in a neighborhood Marcus had only driven through. The kind of place where the houses had names instead of just addresses. At first, he taught Diana practical things. How to establish routines. How to read the signs that a meltdown was coming and head it off. How to child-proof a house that was full of expensive art and glass tables. But more than that, he taught her how to be present. How to sit with grief, both hers and the children's, without trying to fix it or rush past it. How to find joy in small moments even when everything felt broken. Emma became the triplets' favorite person. She'd show up every Saturday with a new story or game, patient and gentle in a way that seemed impossible for a 7-year-old. Marcus watched his daughter bloom, realizing that helping others was helping her too. Diana, for her part, was the fastest learner Marcus had ever met. She approached parenting the way she approached business, with fierce intelligence and determination. But she also learned to soften, to let go of perfectionism, to laugh when things went wrong. One Saturday in late October, Diana pulled Marcus aside while the kids were playing in the backyard. I need to tell you something, she said. I did some research on you. Marcus felt a chill. Okay. Your wife's medical bills. You still owe $47,000. He stiffened. That's private. I know, I'm sorry. But Marcus, I want to pay them off. Absolutely not. Listen to me. You've given me my life back. You've given those kids a chance at being okay. Do you know what I was like before you showed up? I was going to give up. I was going to tell the court I couldn't handle custody, that they should go into foster care or find another relative. I was going to abandon 3 children who'd already lost everything because I was too scared and too proud to admit I needed help. Marcus shook his head. You wouldn't have done that. You love them. I do now, but I didn't know how to then. You taught me, and $47,000 is nothing to me, Marcus. It's a rounding error. But for you, it's years of stress. Let me do this. They argued about it for weeks. Marcus's pride made it almost impossible to accept. But finally, Emma was the one who convinced him. Daddy, she said one night at dinner, when someone wants to give you a gift because you helped them, isn't it mean to say no? You always tell me to accept kindness gracefully. The bills were paid in November. Marcus cried in his car for 20 minutes when he got the notification. But the story doesn't end there. In December, Diana called Marcus with another proposition. My company is expanding. We're launching an education initiative, creating software to help teachers manage classrooms more effectively. I need someone to head up the education consulting team. Someone who actually understands teaching. Who has real experience, who knows what teachers need. Marcus laughed. Diana, I'm not qualified to run a team at a tech company. You're more qualified than anyone I could hire. You'd be working with teachers, for teachers. The pay is triple what you make now. Full benefits, flexible hours so you can still be there for Emma. And before you say no, think about this. You could help thousands of teachers do their jobs better. You could influence how kids across the country learn. He took the job. Started in January. Turned out he was good at it. Translating teacher needs into language the developers could understand. Testing prototypes in real classrooms. Building relationships with schools. By spring, Emma and the triplets were inseparable. They called her their big sister. Marcus and Diana had become genuine friends. Two single parents figuring it out together. Supporting each other through the impossible days. One evening in April, Marcus picked Emma up from Diana's house after a play date. The triplets had finally gone down for the night, and Diana walked him to the door. "Do you remember what you said to them that day in the grocery store?" she asked. "I said a lot of things. The first thing, you said I see you." Marcus nodded. "That's what you did for me too," Diana said quietly. Everyone else just walked past, assuming I had it all together because of how I looked. Because I'm a CEO, because I should be able to handle anything. But you saw me drowning. You saw me as human. And you didn't judge me for falling apart. You just helped. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Diana said firmly. "They wouldn't have. Dozens of people walked past us that day. You were the only one who stopped." Marcus thought about that on the drive home. About how easy it would have been to keep walking. He'd had every excuse. A sick kid, money problems, his own overwhelming day. But something had made him stop. Maybe it was remembering what it felt like to drown alone. Maybe it was Sarah's voice in his head. The way she'd always stopped to help anyone who needed it. Maybe it was just knowing that sometimes the smallest gesture can save someone. What he couldn't have known that day in the grocery store was how stopping for 5 minutes would reshape his entire life. The job that gave him financial stability. The friendship that made single parenthood less lonely. The way helping Diana heal helped him heal too. The joy of watching Emma gain 3 siblings who adored her. None of it would have happened if he'd just walked past. 6 months ago, Marcus was drowning. Today, he's not rich, but he's secure. He's not without struggles, but he has support. He goes to bed grateful instead of terrified. And 3 children who lost everything have a mother who loves them fiercely and a chosen uncle who taught her how. All because he knelt down and said 3 words. To 3 crying toddlers in a grocery store. Here's what Marcus knows now that he didn't know then. Kindness isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up in the small moments when everyone else walks past. It's about seeing people's humanity even when they're falling apart in public. It's about offering help without judgment. Without expecting anything in return. Just because someone needs it and you have it to give. The ripples of kindness spread farther than we can ever imagine. That Tuesday afternoon, Marcus thought he was just calming down some crying kids. He had no idea he was saving 4 lives at once, including his own. So the next time you see someone struggling, whether it's in a grocery store or anywhere else, don't walk past. Don't assume someone else will help. Don't let your own problems convince you that you have nothing to offer. Stop. Look them in the eye. See them as human. Offer what you can, even if it's just presence and acknowledgement. You never know whose life you might change, and you definitely don't know how they might change yours right back. We'd love to hear your story. Has a stranger's kindness ever changed your life? Or have you been the stranger who stopped when everyone else walked past? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.